Hello everyone, Lisa here with you again, your architectural designer. Thanks for joining in today, and if it's your first time here, welcome to my channel and subscribe to my channel, all right, if you haven't already. Today we put a spin on conversations as it's Father's Day, and I just want to take the time to wish all the fathers listening a happy Father's Day to you. Now today I have not one, but two distinguished guests with me, and they are here to share their experience with us. First, we have Ricardo Newallo. He's a registered architect and newly appointed Director of Sustainability at ACLA, that's ACLA Architecture in Trinidad and Tobago. Prior to embarking on a career in architecture, he developed a multifaceted background in finance, computing, and art, resulting in diverse skills and a range of interest. His knowledge of technology has helped ACLA maintain its status as a regional industry leader in building information modeling, that's BIM. Ricardo has also completed his LEED Green Associate training and is currently an executive member of the Trinidad and Tobago Institute of Architects, and he's an interim executive member of the Trinidad and Tobago Green Building Council. Alongside him is Principal Architect Stephan Homer. He possesses 18 years of experience in the architecture and construction sector and has led many teams to winning, designing, and constructing projects locally and abroad. His formative years were spent working with local architects and contractors as an architectural technician, where he gained a lot of experience on projects of various scales and budgets. Having studied project management, he also gained a lot of experience in contract administration during his tenure at Gillespie and Partners, formerly known as Gillespie and Steel Limited. He also worked at an international firm, and he maintains a consultancy in China, collaborating with others as lead consulting architect on a variety of projects. Some of his achievements range from being the recipient of various scholarships, being a contributing writer to the WA magazine in Beijing, China, and the best thesis nominee at master's level. Stephan has a passion for design that is only paralleled by his love for his family. Welcome, Stephan. Welcome, Ricardo. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
You know, so let me just backtrack a little. We all met in school, I know, but you all went on to study at a school in China. Just tell me a little about that. What's the name of the school?
Can I answer that because you went there first?
It's called, it's called Tsinghua University. I went there with my partner, my life partner, Riva, who also was our classmate as you.
Right, yes.
It's a very well-renowned school in China. And it's only recently becoming known outside of China in the Western world because they actually produce really, really good talent, local talent from China. But it's an international program that we applied and got accepted to that really focuses on blended learning. So it's really international students in the program. It's taught in English. But then they also try to incorporate Chinese cultural themes, Chinese cultural issues within the design studio projects. So there was a lot of cross-pollination while we were there studying, which was very interesting.
Nice. Stephan, and how was your experience?
I didn't want to come back. To be honest, I mean, it is definitely an eye-opener. Not just from an architectural standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, as well. It's Beijing is a city that's very eclectic, but still very Chinese and traditional in the way they carry about daily life. But there's so much facets to it that you can't grasp everything. I mean, like I think it's easily put, it's as complex as learning Mandarin. in that way. And it opened your eyes. I mean, you've been to cities, been to Manhattan, been to different cities around the world, and then, you know, the scale of Beijing is a completely different thing. So from an urban planning standpoint, you know, it helps to condition you to a different level of thinking when it comes to architecture. The experience was great. I mean, Ricardo and I and Riva, we lived together for a year.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then, you know, they came back. They were a year ahead of me, and then, you know, we came back and started life. You know,
Yeah.
a whole different adjustment, but
Yeah.
not complain at all.
Yeah, but it's good experience. It's good experience that you now take with you, and it translates into your designs, I would suppose. Right. Tell me about what inspires your design. I just want to start with the architectural tidbit. So what inspires you to design, really? Any one of you could just start.
Go ahead, Rick.
Let me to go. Okay, all right. It sounds a bit funny saying this, to be honest with you, but I do think that I'm very much inspired by vernacular architecture. And it's kind of funny saying it because I'm very much into modern and contemporary and even minimalist design, I would say. So it's kind of like, it could be seen as conflicting, but I think it's really a misunderstanding of what vernacular is. And it's really kind of like trying to understand intrinsically what it is that kind of drives a society and a culture, you know, and then adapting whatever you produce, like this object you're going to insert into an existing context to respond to that in a meaningful way. I think that's kind of what I strive to achieve when I take on a project. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And Stephan, what about you?
So much. I mean, each project is, as you know, Lisa, is intrinsically different. So the inspiration for each project comes from not just broader macro factors, but they're all smaller factors that are pertinent to the project in and of itself that lead to a desired outcome. The drivers for those things, for me, ranged primarily from the client.
From the client.
Yeah, you know, what is the desired outcome that they expect and what they want. Bearing the fact that we have so many other things to consider, the budgets, whether it be the constructability, the, you know, apart from materiality and all of these things, it's and then now you start to go, even if you were to start at that point and start to go broader and then bring it back in, so what the final product works out to be, I'd say, yeah, definitely some of the stuff that Ricardo said, you know, taking what has been done before, understanding the vernacular, understanding how we can then arrive at a contemporary vernacular, which I think Trinidad lacks. Okay. We have architectural practices and architects who are trying to help formulate that new vernacular.
Right.
But I think much of what we've had was adopted from various styles from before. And you know, an amalgamation of it is now experienced in our architecture daily. You know, we have Port of Spain is very eclectic. Port of Spain is a, you know, but Port of Spain has a scale, less the waterfront and the metropolitan CBD area. You know, the buildings themselves are particularly. So there's so many different things that kind of guide that process. But generally now it's hard to identify one main thing that helps to arrive at a desired output. So.
All right. And I know you all work in two different as mentioned before, you work at ACLA and you are principal architect at your own company. Yeah. Tell me, just switching over to the whole fatherhood aspect of it now. How do you manage that time dealing with the demands of being an architect and projects, etc., and the demands of family and your children? I know I know in your I read it earlier where Stephan, you said that you you love architecture, you have a passion for architecture, but you have that love for family. I want to start with you, Stephan. How do you manage?
I'd say before, in no cliche but very cliche way, architecture is something that I've never envisioned myself doing anything else. And before marriage and before children, you know, it's all I did primarily, you know, whatever it's school, work, whatever it is, it's all I actually spent time doing other than, you know, whatever extracurricular activities. Becoming a parent changes life, you know, not dramatically, but it changes the way you perceive life and what's important, what's not important. It's hard now, I mean, given the situation globally with being a tool practitioner, you being your owner of your business, have a family, working from home, the balance then now starts to, it's a toss-up. For me, it's been trying to help my wife manage as best as I can. Then sometimes I need to be able to meet my deadline, so she lends all of that support when I need it most. And you know, without her, I don't think it could be any easier, because she's amazing when it comes to dealing with that. So for me, it's been a lot of support from her part to help me rally through meeting deadlines and all of that, because it's so difficult now more than ever. I mean, my daughter's 2.5 going on 3, and then she was before, and she misses school. She got accustomed to, she was in a rhythm, and then by the time she got into that habit, COVID happened. So she's every day she's packed her stuff and said, no, she's ready to go to school, and I'm like, no school today, babe. You know, so it's those things, and then you know, having a second born during COVID, with everything going on, you know, we were out of the woods as we thought it was back in October when Alex was born, and then it took a whole new spin, because I had to readjust my life now to managing two. And you know, and Rick all alone knows, you know, he knows exactly what that means. That two is a whole different, it's level playing field now. It's 1 for 1.
I hear you.
So I mean, for me, the balance is hard, but it's something that I can't say that I would ever regret. Both my business and my family, and more so my family, bring a different sense of pride and a different sense of accomplishment and a different sense of happiness. And hands down, my family come first, and they inspire me more than anything else. So when it comes to the architecture, I put out the best product for my business, but I also put out a product that I think I want my kids to also be proud of. But as they grow up, they would learn that, you know, hey, daddy designed this, daddy designed that. And they would start to, I mean, whether I want them in the business or not, that's up to them.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I'd say architecture is a tough field, and you know as well, Lisa, that it's not a profession that it's just a by the way. It's all or nothing.
All or nothing. Yeah, for real.
Right? And architecture school teaches you that it has to be all. Yeah. So I mean, that's it for me.
Well, you have 2 kids, Ricardo. You have 2 as well. And how has it been for you to balance, you know, the whole dynamic? Tell me about that.
I share a lot of stuff on sentiments. I definitely would say that it has really changed how I live. And you know, as architects, we design how we live, you know, like how we want to live, at least, you know. So I really feel like it impacted, you know, the way I would approach work. And it's also really kind of forced me in a good way, to be honest, to have more of a work-life balance, funnily enough, because before that, I had very nomadic tendencies in that I wanted to live all over the world. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. But it really grounded me. It really, really grounded me. You know, having kids really grounded me, and it made me a lot more focused on things I think are more important in life. You know, things like family, things like stability, things like just being in touch with your present surroundings, and who you are, and where you're going. You know, and I kind of feel like well, I do know that at ACLA we do try to maintain work-life balance, you know, despite how it might seem. Yeah, it's very important.
It's
I think
encouraged.
yes, it's encouraged. Yeah, because from the first day, from day one that I started working there, straight out of university, kind of it was never really something that I felt pressured, you know, to to forsake my family life
Right.
for the sake of a project. You know, obviously we have deadlines, and you try to manage, but invariably, you know, it's going to come down to the wire. That's just how these things go. But separate and apart from that, I do think that work-life balance is very much encouraged, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I encourage it as well, you know, because it's very important. Balance is important, and I think it will make the world a better place ultimately. The more we encourage that.
Yeah, I like how you said that it's, well, I'm glad that you're encouraging it at it's encouraged at your workplace, and it would make the world a better place. I really do think so, because when you're one-sided, or everybody's one-sided, you know, you ask yourself, well, okay, what can really be accomplished if everybody is just, you know, kind of stuck in the one mode all the time, and you really have to switch it out. I mean, just for your own mental health, I think it's good to
Definitely
have that balance. Let me just go on to legacy. Y'all are fathers, and I applaud y'all. You know, we see good and bad examples, I think, in the world of fatherhood. So I applaud y'all. I thank y'all. I encourage y'all to keep doing what you're doing. And Ricardo, you gave
no
me
more making babies.
Ricardo, you gave me some good news just a little while ago, just before we started. So congratulations to you as well.
Yes.
As you prepare on prepare and welcome the third another member of your family. Tell me, guys, what do you want to leave behind? And I know you said, Stephan, you're not necessarily going to cause your children to choose architecture. They can choose what they want. That's what you said. But tell me, just in terms of characteristics as a father, but also as a businessman, as a director, what do you want to leave behind for your children in terms of architecture, and lessons from that, but also from just being a father person? What do you want to leave?
For me, it's, and if you were to take it from a purely architectural standpoint, I'd say, like any building material, I want my child to remain true to themselves. I believe in the authenticity of materials and the originality of the materials in its pure state. In that a brick is a brick, piece of wood is a piece of wood, it'll always be a piece of wood. That, in terms of your character, of who you are, stay true to that. Stay true to that form, stay true to that throughout your life. Don't be unwavering because of external factors. Be able to adapt, but always be responsible for who you are. You know, as a primary driver, as a parent, I think, you know, in terms of leaving a legacy, I'd love to change the built environment locally. You know, I think part of me, given how things have been recently, I've always thinking about migrating, but a huge part of me always thinks that I need to stay to give back. I need to stay to help improve the built environment and work towards doing that with all professionals, that we owe it that much to help change the course of where we're at and steer it in a direction that is more sustainable for the future in terms of, especially when it comes to children and being a parent. You want them to grow up in a place where it's safe, it's clean, it's an environment that the people are cognizant of the environment itself, what impacts we have on the planet, and what our moves do, and how to be better people, how to be more humane, how to be, and everything of that I've just said can be tied back into architecture, can be tied back into design as an overarching principles of what we do and how we affect change, how we affect the planet as a whole and development moving forward. We are that generation now as it stands. And, you know, Rick being a director, one of the longest standing, best architectural firms I respect in this country. I think, you know, we will have a part to play. It's important we always remember that when moving forward.
Yeah, you raised a really, really good point there, Stephan. I think that that legacy, it was just something like something sort of a selfish connotation to it. But it's really important to kind of have this continuous thread that you can always tap into and refer to and learn from, and I would say though that that one of the things I admire about ACLA and will continue to admire its adaptability. It's always been able to adapt to the current economic climate of its time and respond in kind, and that's something that I think is really important to understand and it's a really good quality to have, and it's something I try to instill in my kids, whereby instead of as the adage go, instead of building a house, you could probably build a tent, so that if it floods, you can move it very quickly. I feel like not a literal tent, but figuratively speaking, you're able to respond quickly and efficiently to whatever's happening around you. And I feel like that's obviously you need qualities that Stephan mentioned, which are very important as well to have that be effective qualities as being honest to yourself, understanding yourself, and understanding what you want. I think that's something that's very, very hard to pinpoint. What you really want. Or what you need, and that sort of dialogue between what you want versus what you need, and I feel like it doesn't have to come with age. Once you're constantly asking the right questions, it might lead you to the right answers. So I think that's one of probably the most important quality I would like to leave my kids with. Wow. The ability to adapt.
The ability to adapt. Okay.
And trust God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
And trust God.
And to trust God. Let me just ask though, to the whole daddy duties thing, and this is my last question. I mean, I could engage you all. You all have so much to share, and I really just want to say that I admire you guys. I always admired you guys from school. Just in case you didn't know, I really always admired you guys for your work, and just how you would approach design and how much fun you had in school, just the way you did things. And I know that continues on, and I know you all would leave really good legacies. I look out to see what you're going to do. Just say it. So that's good. So it brings me to my last question, and it's just I call it my 3, 2, 1 questions, where I just ask you three daddy duties that you enjoy the most. Just 3, if you wanna. Let me just throw that one. I see Ricardo smiling. Ricardo, that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's very funny. I probably one of the best times it all revolves around that nighttime ritual that you try to instill. I mean, I failed miserably at it several times, but you try to instill it, and it has to do with the bath. At bath time, it's always like this constant negotiation between what toys they're gonna bring in the bath, and they always bathe together. My two daughters always want to bathe together, and there's always like this huge big mess, but it's fun. That's an story time.
Okay.
Yeah, story time I love reading stories. I love it. Yeah, it's important that they love reading too, and I feel like it's something that I try to do as much as possible.
Okay, nice.
And my youngest daughter, Canny, she is very individualistic, and she is very picky with what she wears. So I love the negotiation of trying to get something for her to wear.
Is that
I mean, it sounds very petty, but like,
just by any chance? Is that negotiating your way with clients? Is that
definitely?
The same way. I have the same conversation that you have in here with Ricardo, and Ricardo has with Yana and Kani. I have the same with my daughter. And my son is only 8 months, so he have no negotiation skills right now. So yeah, it's the same. And I'd say, I mean, bath time, prayer time, story time.
Nice.
And because prayer time for me is the one point in the day apart from meals that we're all together before bed. At the close of the day, that's it. That's where we end the day together like that before everybody goes to bed. And I think Annalie really enjoys it, and Alex is now getting into it, and he's, we say hold hands, and he puts out his hands. So that for me brings a complete different joy.
Yeah.
Overall, to end my day, that puts a smile on my face every day. That they do that, and they look forward to it. And it's not a fussy time. It's one time they understand they have to be calm. And going into story time, my daughter loves to read, and she loves to be read to, and she memorizes books. So now we've reached the point where I just open the book and she'll start. She can't read, but she knows the words based on the page. She knows what's coming. So anticipating that. So now what I do is I skip pages and go and move ahead to throw off, because you want to get them to think critically. So you want them to say, all right, understand the images on the page, remember what comes next, because not everything is always going to be chronological in life. You want to, and that's like your career. Your career is never going to be chronological. I never thought I would have gone to architecture school late. I started university at 26. I worked from 19 or 18 till I was 26, and then got my way in to UTech at that late age. So, my advice to anybody is never give up on your dream. Never give up on what you want. Once you understand what you have to do to get it done, then do it. Don't let anybody rush that for you. I have one staff member, right? And Jawak went to school at CSA with us. He was a couple of years below us. And I always tell him, I was like, I'm constantly pushing him to go do his master's. Like, go do it. Don't give up. Because at the end of the day, education is something that nobody can take away from you. Right? You can, and different ways about it, but we operate in a profession where being a registered member is an important step in your professional development in your career.
Yeah.
And I encourage you, Lizelle, still go for it. Go for
it. Thank you very much.
Oh, trust me. I mean, what you're doing here is wonderful. I think I've seen the episodes with the engineers, and I saw you over Kayode, and I quite like what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
And I understand that you have seen an area that needs that attention, and you're helping to guide people who don't have the information at hand.
Yeah.
There's a big gap in our society where you are filling now, and I think that is amazing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks very much. Let me jump to two. Tell me in terms of work, pieces of work that you admire. Just it could
of your own or any?
Any. It could be of your own. It could be of somebody else's just work that you admire?
Hard.
That's a very difficult one.
That's a hard question because there's
Such a lengthy list.
Oh boy, just two. all
hard to pick two. Like really, whether it's the top two or two in between, it's
two that has influenced you.
I'd say one architect or work that has influenced me would be reverse thesis Professor Alicia Dong, Chinese architect, who he himself as a person and everything, all his work influenced me a bit because of the process of which he went through to arrive at it, and the design of itself. It solved so many social issues more than it was an architectural object, that the role it played in the villages or areas that it was serving. It did more than just become a built object. So, I mean, he has one project called the Bridge School.
It's a really good project.
Which is a really good project. I think was one that I would say influenced me.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. What you have, Rick?
I've always been a huge fan of the work of Alpha Alto. He's one of my favorite architects. And the first project that came to mind was actually one by Lee Shadong, not the Bridge School, but Liyuan Library. Yeah. And when international students first arrive at Tsinghua, they take you to the school that was designed by Lee Shadong. And it's on the outskirts of Beijing proper. It's up in the hills. It's very rural. But it's a library that was built by hand. There was zero drawings done for this building, by the way. It was all built from the ground up by the local community. So it is very much a part of the urban fabric, the local fabric. They feel like they own the building in a way, and I think that's amazing. And another really cool aspect about that project is that it's a library filled with books that they didn't actually curate deliberately.
It's donated.
It's all donated, and how they built their collection is that when you come to visit the library, people come from all over the world to visit the library. You take a book and you leave a book, or you take 2 books and you leave 2 books. So they built up this collection over time of books from all over the world, different languages, and I think that's a really powerful notion too. And it really feels like something that's a living entity. Like, buildings, they live. They're not living static objects that you just plop down there. They evolve with people. That kind of gives them life.
I think also a big factor of that building is the fenestration on the building was built of sticks and twigs of the trees of the context. So the building itself adapts to the season. And Beijing has 4 seasons. So with winter, and if you ever Google it and look up images of it, you'd see how the building adapts as well to that changing of the seasons. And at every point of it looks different.
Wow.
So I think, it's also very, very, and it's no bias to say that because he went there and he was our professor and all of that, but I mean, I think
No, it's not, no. Definitely not.
As I said, I think anywhere you go in the world, you will find certain things that stand out to you. We fortunately, spent 2 years of our lives in Beijing and had the opportunity to see that. And we also inspired a lot of other people to follow suit. I mean, Jamar, Ricardo Simmons, Deandra, all these other people went after us.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And let me just end as it's the last question, but it's Father's Day, and I know fathers are tuned in, men are tuned in. I just want you to leave one advice. I know one piece of advice. I know you gave some advice earlier. I just want you to leave just one piece of advice for fathers, for men, maybe someone wanting to become a father, a young man wanting to become a father, but they might be in too much about it. Or they might look at it as
whatever happens, don't panic.
Don't panic.
That's the biggest form of advice I could say. It's never as serious as you think it is. Children will fall. Let them fall. Let them learn. Children will do all sorts of things. Sure.
Do we get to see it?
This is Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Sit down, Ricky. Right. They will always do amazing things, and they will always do things to make you angry. Don't let the emotion be different.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
Always let them know that when they make mistakes, it's okay. It happens, and you learn, and you teach them that. And it's the same thing when they do good.
Nice.
You know,
I love it.
So,
and you let that love translate. You let that love be known. In every
my wife and I don't believe in letting things fester. So we don't stay angry at our kids. We don't stay angry at each other. We don't stay angry at anything. We talk it out. You hug it out. Cry out if you need, and the rest is left up to God.
Yeah. Ricardo, what about you? One piece of advice.
I would say don't sweat the small stuff, and because you could get so bogged down in the day-to-day kind of grind that you lose sight of the bigger picture. And I feel like it's important to have kids expand their possibilities. Like, grow up feeling like you're limitless, aim for the stars, land on the clouds kind of thing. And I feel like their environment is very much shaped by you, knowingly and unknowingly, so the less restrictions you try to impose on them, is the more possible, them achieving like these great things might be, so. And I feel like we all want the best for our kids, I'm not saying don't have discipline, but be cognizant that like as Stephan said, kids will, they need to live their life, and they need to learn,
They need to express themselves.
Yeah, they need to express themselves, so just be adaptable at least, to your child, because each child is an individual. No two children are the same, I can definitely say that from experience. And you need to be conscious that what worked for one is not going to work for the other, so you need to constantly be adapting your strategy, your plan, and how you motivate and inspire them,
Nice. So they can contribute positively to society.
Yes.
And that
definitely.
You can be proud of them, and they could, make an impact, that positive impact. They could, that's good. Great advice. Thank you so much, guys. Oh my gosh.
By the way, Emily and Ken, you're going to be best friends. They're the same age. We have to organize a play date, Stephan.
Yeah. It's also important to know that I'm his second child godfather, and he's my first child godfather. Because of COVID, both families haven't been able to meet up properly, have the kids interact. And Annalie loves Kanye Yana, and loves spending time with him, and it's always Yana is a bit older, but she's always very, very happy to play with the kids, and she's always so sweet. So I mean, it's hard, and I just can't wait for this to just be over with, so we can get back to that, because I think more than ever we think that we have a lot to deal with. Trying to stay safe, trying to protect your family, trying to ensure that, work happens. We get so bogged down with these things that you never really always stop to realize how much it affects them.
Yeah.
They're still learning. They still want to learn about the world. Both our kids love the beach. It's hard. So
it is, yeah.
They're restricted to Annalie, darling.
Hi, Annalie.
And I look at her, hiding. And that is a direct result of it.
Yeah.
She's accustomed to people, but in the last since March last year to now, it's been hard. So
Yeah.
it's that aspect of people that she's fine with, that she's accustomed to. She's okay.
Yeah.
People she's not seen in a long time or strangers, she completely hides her face. And I tell her it's okay to be scared. It's okay to whatever she feels, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that we're here to protect her. We're here to, and once you tell her it's okay.
You know, y'all are leaders, you know, at where you work in your workplace. You're leading, you're custom leading a design, you're custom just being the director, you know, to guide a project along. But in family life, you still have to do that, and you still have to be able to relate to how like she feels and what she's going through and that kind of thing. So you still have to now lead in a different way. You still have to
Well, I think it's a similar scenario, however different in the sense that, you know, whether you have employees and they're under your purview, that, you know, you still have to look out for them. And
yeah.
it's the same similar things you have to do is make sure that their mental well-being and all of these things without being too invasive in their lives and intrusive, that they're okay. And once that's fine, and you ensure that they're in a state to be able to perform their job. But performing the job becomes the least of the issue. It becomes more of a personal, humane, and humanitarian issue of understanding that people are always under stress. People have their own things to deal with, and you have to put aside your agenda as a boss. And I say agenda, I use that term loosely, of just production, but stop to let them take a pause as well and let them refresh themselves and deal what they're dealing with before they can come back. Because, you know, you owe them that much. As an employer, you owe them that much.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when it comes to family now, you know, it's more of your business in that sense to always understand what the kids are going through, and what your spouse is going through, or whatever happens at that point, you know. They take up most of my time. And I love it. It's the best thing ever. And I would never take that away. Look at her sister, all that's all he does all day. Is just look at her because he just wants to run.
I mean, I've seen the dichotomy between, you know, my two daughters. Yana, she's 6, well, going to be 6 soon, and Kani, she's almost 2. And they Yana was in school, like really enjoying school, of her friends, of playing. She's a playaholic, and I'm glad that that they have each other at least, you know, so that they play a lot. You could probably hear them in the background downstairs.
Yes, I am hearing them.
Yeah, that's a constant thing, and but Yana suffers, you know, like she's suffering through online school, like, and I hate the fact that she has to go through that, you know, at such a young age, where, you know, like for such a prolonged period of time, this could have, you know, lasting repercussions on their socialization, you know, and we won't really know the full or true effects until way down the road, possibly. But I definitely see on the flip side how it benefited my younger daughter, Kani. You know, like I've been into and out to the office during the various lockdowns, and you know, making the decision to work from home, at least partially, and then full time, depending on the situation with the COVID outbreak in the country. But you know, Yana's accustomed to me going to work in the morning and coming home in the evening. But I think Kani, my younger daughter, she's not really used to that. You know, she's accustomed to having me around a lot more often. You know.
Yeah, and you
And
build
I feel like,
that
not only that, but she also benefited from having Yana around 24/7. You know, whereas Yana used to go to school and come back home.
Yeah.
So she's actually benefited a lot from this. I think she will not adjust to going to school so well because
Let's see
she
how
was
it
due to
goes.
start last year, but she's gonna be
Yeah.
we'll see how we cross that bridge when we reach it. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. Well, we'll see. Yeah, definitely. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks a whole lot for really just sharing your personal story, your personal lives with us. I'm sure you all would have inspired someone listening to go after your goal, as I said earlier, being flexible, leaving a legacy, be intentional about leaving a legacy for your children, just teaching them to be true to themselves, to be honest, to be, just express how you feel, and still being direct in their lives, instilling discipline, instilling good principles, teaching them love in every aspect, prayer and respecting, God and that kind of thing. That's really good. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing.
Not a problem.
No problem at all. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, always happy to be a part of these things.
Yeah,
for sure. If you also want to share your piece of advice for fathers right now, you can go right ahead and type in the chat or the comment section below. And a happy Father's Day to you both. If you want to reach Ricardo and Stephan, you can see the information posted below this video. Remember to like and share this video, okay? There are men out there who need to hear it. So like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being with me today. Be safe, and I'll see you in my next video.